Hey everyone, this is Scott from the Scott to Grow podcast. Welcome to another edition of ReWatching Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. Today I'm going to be talking about Season 2, Episode 14, Love in the Time of Hydra. I'm just going to be starting off with the plot summary so we have some idea what happened during this episode, then just talking about my general thoughts, things I liked in this episode, and a few things of foreshadowing I noticed. So let's just get started with that plot summary, which says, on Gardner's recommendation, Coulson pulls Skye from active duty and leaves her at a safe house with gloves designed to help suppress her abilities, asking her to take some time to learn to control her powers. Ward and Agent 33 hunt down the man who created the technology that allows Agent 33 to take on May's appearance. He fixes her mask so that she can once again change her appearance to anyone she wishes. Using this, they infiltrate Talbot's base and break out Bakshi, who S.h.i.e.L.D. had handed over as a sign of good faith. From Bakshi, they learn about Agent 33's life before he had brainwashed her, including her name, and before brainwashing Bakshi themselves. Mac introduces Hunter to Robert Gonzalez, the leader of the real S.h.i.e.L.D., founded on the ideal of transparency rather than Fury's mantra of compartmentalization. I didn't say that right. They see Coulson and his reactive behavior as a threat, and when Hunter escapes, they decide to go after Coulson's group immediately. So that's the plot summary for this episode. I really enjoyed this episode for the introduction of the real S.h.i.e.L.D. and how that they kind of brought that about. I didn't love as much that this was a lot of just talking in this episode with the real S.h.i.e.L.D. I would have liked maybe a few flashbacks, some kind of action. They were just sitting in a room talking about it, and I get we can't really do much more with that, but it seemed like a very dull introduction of the real S.h.i.e.L.D. It was cool to see the familiar face of Weaver and obviously Gonzalez. I just only recognize him because he was the same actor from Battlestar Galactica, but that's not really a connection to S.h.i.e.L.D. at all. But yeah, because I found that was just kind of lackluster, that introduction of the real S.h.i.e.L.D., but maybe that's kind of the way the writers intended it to kind of maybe make you not kind of believe that's, I don't know. I just felt it was slightly lackluster when I was kind of, how they kind of introduced it. I felt like it should have been more of a moment, less of a, okay, that makes sense. Just a room full of people talking. But yeah, I like that they have a helicarrier and that it's at sea. That's pretty badass. That's one thing Coulson doesn't have, but he does have the bus. So, he's got all the bases too. I don't know, would I rather have the bus or a helicarrier? That's a really tough one, guys. That's a really tough one. Helicarriers are freaking ginormous. That must take a lot of gas, and the bus is really cool. It's a little more convenient. It can go invisible, right? Can helicarriers sometimes go invisible too, I think? I've gotten off track here, guys. That's what happens when I start to talk about helicarriers. Anyway, some of the other things I liked about this episode, I like that we get a bunch about Ward helping Agent 33. I just like kind of exploring that storyline a little bit. I like that they just came up with some, not random reason, but they figured out some way to keep Ward kicking around for a little bit longer in this season. So, and I don't mind that. I enjoy the little ways that we have that little kind of take away from all the stuff that's going on with S.h.i.e.L.D. We kind of get to see what's going on with him. Still a little bit ties to Hydra too. So it kind of all connects, is what I meant to say. But I just like that aspect that they add in that. It was a really big focus of this episode, hence the title of the name. I like that we got the addition of Talbot in this episode. Anytime he shows up, I just really enjoy it. I enjoy the actor whose name I always forget, because I mix his name up with his character from Heroes. Every time, I can't help it. It's just how my brain works. But yeah, I enjoyed Talbot's character overall. I like that he keeps popping up a few times every season. I like especially in this episode that, him and Coulson are a little more buddy-buddy, a little more respect for each other. Because I don't love when they're, a little bit more at odds. It is fun when they are, but I kind of prefer when they're a little more buddy-buddy and still, butting heads over, butting head buddies, if that makes sense. No, this is really making sense. I'm hopped up on cold medicine, guys. I'm sorry. But what else do I have written down for things I liked in this episode? Oh, when Coulson takes Skye to Fury's safe house, he mentions the line about Cap had stayed there for a few weeks after he'd been defrosted, and I was just like, oh, that's kind of cool. I love those little things. That little, just one line, connecting it to the MCU, to the bigger thing. That S.h.i.e.L.D. was a big part of all these different things, like Captain America. Like they built him pretty much, and they're the ones who rescued him. So I just enjoy that little tie with the simple line like that. The last thing I have written down was Coulson and May suspect something about Mac. That's one thing I always like. Like they really play their hands really close to their chest. Those two, not like letting on when they already know ahead of time. I'm pretty sure that's what we learn a little bit of that also when it comes to the real S.h.i.e.L.D. That Coulson's like, oh, yeah, I knew you guys were doing that off over there, whatever. But I really like that aspect when it comes to what they did with Mac, because I just really enjoy that they're just going to kind of explore that in the next episode. I also forget exactly how that confrontation goes down. Yeah, but that's all the elements I liked in this episode. What did you all think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you not? What are some elements you did or didn't like, or some foreshadowing elements that I may have missed? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Thanks for joining me again, and have a good one.